Welcome back, viewers. Dave Epstein here from the Post Pollock firm. Here today to talk to you about the healthcare system, or more specifically about an individual named Luigi Mangione. If you haven't heard of him, crawl out of your cave because the guy is all over the news. He's the young man who shot to death, is alleged to have shot to death, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. And this has raised all kinds of legal questions, social questions, etc. So let me try to answer a few. First and foremost, there is concern about the fact that there are many people out in the public, and you see it all over online, who are supporting this guy, saying, touche, good for you, you did this. I have even seen reports that people are raising legal defense funds for this young man. So the question is, well, first of all, what's gotten us to this point? Folks, here's an important fact for you to know. 1 out of 3 people who come in with a claim get denied. I may be stating the obvious because I don't think there's a person among us over the age of 18 who hasn't themselves or seen a family member run into some claims denial issue. And the problem is, it's the climate right now, is that we have a healthcare system and a health insurance system that is in chaos and in crisis. There are tens of millions of Americans who are either without health care or have insufficient health insurance. And there are anybody facing a catastrophic illness, unfortunately, in many cases, they can face financial ruin or even death or serious disability because of the inability to treat themselves or to get the treatment they need. UnitedHealthcare happens to be in that category of roughly 1 out of 3. I hope it's wrong, but unfortunately, I think that's right. So where are all the people coming from who are supporting Mr. Mangione? They're coming from frustration. People who either know somebody who personally have been through this system, and they know that our healthcare system is in chaos. They know that there is a good chance that anything they want to have cleared is not going to be, that they're going to have to fight with their insurance company. Everybody knows, well, not everybody, many people do know that if you challenge them on a denial, you have to file an appeal that is heard by the health company and usually decided by a board they put together that's guided by a doctor that they've hired. And don't think for a second that that doctor is there chipping in for you. Now, here's what adds to the fury or the frustration. The insurance companies are making profits head over heels. UnitedHealthcare alone, their profits in the last 4 years, 2023 net profit or net income, $22 billion. 2022, $20.6 billion. 2021, $17.3 billion. 2020, $15.4 billion. The CEO, the top executives of UnitedHealthcare, this is just the top 5. There are other highly paid executives. This is the top 5. UnitedHealthcare alone combined made over $70 million, or making $70 million plus a year. That's their salary, including the unfortunate soul who got shot. And meanwhile, you're somebody who is facing literally financial ruin or death because you can't come up with the money to pay for your treatment. And you see health companies raking in profits, denying your claims or those of your loved ones. And you can see where this could escalate. Well, evidently, if what they're saying is true, it escalated and then some in the case of Mr. Mangione. Mr. Mangione, by every indication, has a history of both physical and mental illness. He's written what appear to have been manifestos to some extent, talking about his frustration with corporate America in general. And again, that is not a theme that is anything new, and it is growing and growing. And if you're somebody in that case who is being denied health care, God forbid it's denied mental health care, because anybody who has sought mental health care knows that is among the hardest forms of care to get and get covered and get quality care in the United States. We are horrible with that in this country. So you have this double whammy there. You got a guy with mental health issues who also has an agenda. He's from the Baltimore area, from what I understand. He comes from a very wealthy family, so he probably will be able to afford some good defense attorneys. But he sort of fell off the radar with his family. People were concerned about him. Everybody interviewed said, I had no idea this guy was harboring these types of feelings. Then he did, or allegedly did, what they allege he did, and then went on the run. He was in Pennsylvania. He was using a fake ID. I think it was a New Jersey identification. Ended up getting arrested in Pennsylvania, and now they're going to bring him back to New York, and he's going to face trial. But at the end of the day, what he is he's that patient who is frustrated and out of his mind over the way he and others are being treated by the insurance companies, and meanwhile sees the people at the top. And everybody always wants to blame the people at the top. I don't know if the CEO really said, I want you to deny everybody's coverage, but they know what's going on in their companies. There have been lawsuits all over the place against UnitedHealthcare and other healthcare companies. What does it all mean? What can we expect in the trial, now that we know who this guy is, or a little bit? Well, there's obviously a plea agreement he can reach. If his attorney is doing their job, they're going to certainly explore that. And that'll depend on what the charges are and what each side thinks they can prove. But what are the chances of him being acquitted based upon a view that they got the wrong guy, it wasn't him? It sounds to me like that one is going to be a tough road to hoe. I could be wrong, but that may be hard. So what's left for the guy? I think it's basically three things. It's either a diminished capacity, temporary insanity type of defense, which is not easy. He has to show that at that moment that he committed the murder, he had lost his mind, he was temporarily insane, but there appears to have been a substantial amount of premeditation that went into it. So I don't know how far that goes. He could try for a more permanent insanity defense, the classic insanity defense, which it's a weird anomaly in our law. I mean, we used to follow this law. It was called the Norton Rule. That basically said you had to be delusional. You had to think that you were a soldier on a battlefield and shooting somebody when, in fact, you're in your living room shooting your wife. But what ends up happening is juries take that and they listen to psychiatrists testify and they listen to evidence of the insanity, and they may still say, well, this is insane. From what I understand, Mr. Mangione, I think I heard somewhere report that he might be bipolar, that he has had a serious history of mental illness. And the irony of this is that if enough people testify for him that he got off his meds, got off his treatment, because UnitedHealthcare, some healthcare company, denied him, which happens all the time. Wouldn't that be an interesting thing to present to the jury, that he became temporarily or insane because he was unable to control himself as a result of a lack of medication that was critical to his mental health management? So that's another option that his lawyers will certainly have to explore. That seems to be a pretty strong option. The last one, and this is an interesting one, and this could be one of the big tests of this concept. It's called jury nullification. Jury nullification, and it has happened in the United States previously. Jury nullification is where the jury comes back with a verdict of not guilty, even though there's overwhelming evidence of guilt, even if, as they sit and talk to each other, they realize he is technically guilty of this crime, but we just don't want to find him that way. How could that happen? Well, first of all, you get a jury, an average jury in New York or any other state in the union. Good luck finding a juror who has not had themselves or a family member or close friend who has been denied a coverage for health insurance. I don't think that person exists anymore. So the screening process for a jury is going to be a difficult one, to say the least. And if Mr. Mangione's family is putting up money, they could do quite a good job with jury consultants and everything else, and they might very well get a sympathetic jury. They're people who have been denied coverage. And they're supposed to report if they have biases, jurors do, against health carriers, everything else, but they don't always. So what could happen? You get enough jurors in that jury room who say, listen, This guy is acting out like so many other Americans feel they need to act out, that I don't think we should convict him, or maybe find him guilty by reason of insanity. That could be another form of juror nullification. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be uncharted water for the prosecutors, because while I think most people think of law-abiding citizenry and that you don't go out and shoot people, and I certainly don't condone this. I mean, the guy had a family. This is a man who got murdered. At the same time, I can see a jury going off the rails with this. The last thing I'll mention, and this is the most important, as frustrated as you are with the healthcare system, as frustrated as you are with your insurance carrier, you don't have to go to your insurance carrier and shoot somebody. You don't have to go postal on anybody. There are laws there to protect you. Several. I'll list them for you. I won't go into detail about them, but I can tell you what they are. HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. That not only protects the privacy of your medical records, but it also limits the pre-existing condition exclusions. There's COBRA, Consolidated Omnibus, Budget Reconciliation Act. Everybody's heard of it if you left a job. They have to give you COBRA notification, because COBRA requires that they give you the opportunity to continue your health coverage once you leave employment. Then there's the Affordable Care Act. I mentioned that earlier. That's Obamacare. And that was an innovative, sort of groundbreaking piece of legislation. And that allowed, it required insurance plans to cover people with pre-existing conditions, and provided a whole host. I'm not going to list all the aspects of Obamacare, but it provided a whole host of protections for the average citizen to obtain health insurance. But once you get past that, there's the McCarran-Ferguson Act of 1945. Basically, that said states are in charge of health insurance and regulating except as otherwise enabled by the federal government enables itself by federal law. And then lastly, there's the Federal No Surprises Act, and that's aptly named. When you go to you have a health emergency, you go to an emergency room, and all of a sudden you find out, oh, you're not covered for this, and you get these outrageous bills. So I didn't expect this. And as the name of the legislation suggests, no surprises. They're not allowed to do that. There's a limit as to what they can do. But one thing I can tell you is this. If you are raising an issue about a claim denial, your defense or your offense starts the second they deny it. And you want to start lining up your ducks, get a statement from your doctor who recommended the treatment, to talk about how critical and essential it is. You're going to have to go through their appeals process. And as I said, it's kind of a stacked deck, but you want to lay out a good case in that appeals process, because then you're going to take it to the next level. You're going to go to a court. And the court is going to look at it under whichever law we're talking about, whether it's COBRA, whether it's ACA. You're going to go to court and say, I was wrongfully denied coverage. And you want to have your ducks lined up so you can make the insurance company look stupid. Like they just made this up here. My doctor said X, Y, and Z. And then you'll get in front of a federal or state judge and hopefully plead your case. But obviously, resorting to violence, as appealing as it apparently is to many Americans, is not the way to go. The way to go, last and foremost, is your vote, your activism. Get in groups that advocate for patient rights. Now, we may have a Robin Hood today, and it may look wonderful, but you can see where that expands to, I don't like this company, I don't like that company. Maybe somebody will shoot them too. It's not the way we are. This is not American. Americans don't do that. So thanks for listening. I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Tune in next time. Hit like, subscribe. And again, comment. I always try to read them and respond. Take care.